Hey friends, before I start this video, I just wanted to give a little shout out to the Outer Court of the Path of the Phoenix song. Your High Priestess and High Priest are really, really cool people. They're friends of mine, and they have told me that you really dig the videos and that you watch the channel, and I really, really appreciate that support. I think that's awesome. I do this primarily for me because I just enjoy it, but also for, to kind of spread information, to get dialogue going, and the fact that somebody else finds value in me flapping my gums all the time just really makes me feel good, and so I appreciate that. Like I said, your coven, they're great, they're good people, you're in good hands. I hope to meet you soon. Well, hey there, my tarot readers, my Yuletide revelers, and other witches and pagans of YouTube. It's me, your boy Shane, and welcome back to my channel, as the case may be. Usually after the Yule and Christmas and winter solstice and all those celebrations are over for the year, I post a video with, like, my witchy gift haul. And this year, I got, most of my gifts were actually nursing themed, which was rad. I got some great stuff to go back to school with in a few weeks. Some great books and great supplies, things that I really need. I also got some swag to kind of keep my morale up through the semester. Like some fun stickers and pins and patches and stuff. So not a ton of witchy gifts this year, but I did get two really super cool things. The first one I'm wearing is this awesome tarot t-shirt from my friend Jen. We're in a group chat, and we did like a witchy secret Santa, or some of us has been calling it a secret Satan, just to be stupid. And so my pal Jen drew my name, and this is what I got, and I love it. And the other gift that I got this year, kind of keeping in the theme, was the Antique Anatomy Tarot, which is a really cool set. And this is from, actually, believe it or not, this was from my ex-wife, because we have either the healthiest or unhealthiest relationship for two people who have split up and are in the process of a divorce. But it is a super, super niche kind of thing, right? But being in nursing school and being a tarot enthusiast and being an illustrator and just kind of being all the things that I am, I thought this was a super cool, like, intersection of all my interests. So, the Antique Anatomy Tarot, super niche. This is not going to be for everyone, but if you're into medicine, all those cool, like, lino cut or, like, illustrative sort of looking black and white, like, old book illustrations, if you're into anatomy, if you're into tarot, if you're into, if you're, like, super into any of those, like, weird little things, it may be worth checking out. So it is a whole set, which means that it comes with the deck and the guidebook. The guidebook is pretty cool. It's in full color. It's really nice. And, it gives you a couple of, like, just beginner information, astrology in the tarot, caring for your deck, the elements in the tarot, ways to use the tarot. Really, like, good beginner primer kind of stuff. And then it delves into the meanings of the cards, of course. Some spreads. Oh, look, it's our old pal, the Celtic Cross. God, that thing is never going to die, is it? And like I said, then it goes into the meanings, and it's fully colored. It's beautiful. It's a nice little book. It's a decent size, as is usually the case with these nice kits like this. And I pulled out some of the cards that I think are especially beautiful and effective and kind of give you an idea of what the deck is all about. I really dig the Fool and how it kind of focuses on that leg, that anatomy, and a lot of the Fool cards, it's the most relevant bit is, that Fool stepping off the cliff or about to step off the cliff or taking his first steps on, their new journey, first couple of halting steps on their path. So I thought this was kind of a really super cool rendering of the Fool, really, like, distills it down to its most basic, quintessential element there. These, I just think are stunning. The Empress and the Emperor, I just think they're beautiful illustrations, right? Like, I was kind of surprised the Empress didn't go into any of the anatomy of pregnancy, but I really dig this cool, like, they're coordinated, but they're also, like, individual and different, and just the things that are kind of omitted and revealed. I just really like the artwork on these two. The Lovers is, of course, a heart. Like, what else would it be, right? But nice. Strength I really enjoy is the femur. I really got a kick out of that for some reason. You know, the femur is like our largest, thickest, strongest bone. It's the thigh bone, and it is, I just think that's super cool. Super cool for the strength card. I also really liked Justice, which is, you can see, half brain and half heart. You know, kind of strikes that balance of, like, logic and emotion and, you know, ration and, you know, and intuition. So I think that really kind of nails it. So those are just some highlights from the major arcana. The minor arcana is a little plus and minus. So it is, I don't want to say it's a non-illustrated pips. It's sort of like half illustrated pips, and I'll get into what I mean. So, you know, in non-illustrated pips, you have decks that have, like, you know, instead of, like, a pictorial scene, or instead of human figures, or instead of, like, a little kind of, you know, a setting that kind of shows the meaning of the card, it's literally just, like, 4 cups or 6 swords or whatever, like, just the tools and the number. And that is a bit harder to read. I don't recommend that style of deck for beginners. If you really know what you're doing and you're super into tarot and you've studied it for a while and you want to give that style of deck a try, right on, knock yourself out. I find it a little bit tougher to read with those style decks, the TDM style deck, as opposed to, like, the Rider-Waite-Smith style of deck. The longer name is in French, but I'm not going to butcher the pronunciation of that. But yeah, so this is, it's half illustrated pips, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So the Two of Cups is just 2 kind of bottles of tonic, like 2 old bottles of medicine, which I think is really cute. And because, you know, the Two of Cups is a card of love and relationships and yada, 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 if you look really closely at the labels, I don't know if the camera will focus on that, but it says Love Tonic and Passion Tincture. So kind of gives you a clue as to what the Two of Cups is all about, or the Two of Elixirs in this deck. Similarly, the Four of Cups, or in this deck, right, the Four of Elixirs, which is a card that's about, you know, rejection and apathy and disappointment and just being fucking over it and not being able to, you know, see the forest for the trees, right, and have that perspective. Kind of ignoring the gifts that are right in front of you and just focusing on the negative. Not that I have experience with the Four of Cups. You know, again, I don't know if the camera will really focus on that, but you've got, like, morphine and heroin and arsenic and cyanide. So again, it gives you, you know, some clues. It gives you some indication of what that card is all about. Other suits don't really, aren't as successful. So, like, in the Eight of Rods or the Eight of Wands, depending on, you know, the decks that you're used to, what you call these suits. I think it's super cool that it's medical instruments, right? But it doesn't really tell you a whole lot of what's going on in this card. There's blades for, you know, for the suit of swords. And again, it's a scalpel. I love that. I love the old medical illustrations. It's definitely in keeping with the theme of the deck. But it doesn't really give you a whole lot of clue as to what's going on in this card. There's another one, the Seven of Pentacles or the Seven of Coins. You know, a card that's about investment and long-term goals and nurturing a project and, you know, persevering and sustaining something. I don't get that. I don't get that from this card. You know, that being said, I guess there are, like, certain small clues in these cards. If you know something about what used to be called Victorian flower language, right, which is really fascinating. So, like, depending on the flowers that you used to give to someone, they had like secret meanings. Like some meant friendship, and some meant marriage, and some meant jealousy, and whatever. So I love things like symbolism and like coded messages and like, God, things like, the old hanky codes of like, the old queer communities, right, and stuff. I love coded language like that. So I find that interesting. I don't know if studying something like that or becoming familiar with like the traditional meanings and associations of the different flowers, especially back in like Victorian and Edwardian times, when like the artwork from this deck was kind of sourced. I don't know if that might give you any further insight into the meanings of cards. I mean, I do think like, the ace is like the kind of the beginning of the suit, the kind of, the ace and the 10 kind of bookend the suit and kind of encapsulate everything that suit is about. So I think it's cool that like, okay, this ace has a couple of different flowers that you see throughout, the suit of swords or the suit of blades in this case. So, all right, fine. And then you have, again, semi-successful, you have, the nine of blades, which is a crap card. The tower and the death card get a bad rap, but I would rather get those cards than the 9 or the 10 of swords any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So, you kind of have like this card that's about anxiety and not being able to change your circumstances and the dark night of the soul and despair. It's usually depicted by like a woman sitting upright in bed with her head in her hands, kind of weeping, with like 9 swords on the wall behind her. If you've ever seen that image, you know what I'm talking about. So is that kind of suggested here by like these dark, scraggly looking flowers that are sort of like wilting and dying? Yeah, sort of. Definitely like evokes that, but I don't know that I would necessarily like get that from this picture. But that's just me because like I said, again, I struggle with non-illustrated pips. When I see a card that is just 5 cups or just, 8 pentacles or whatever, my mind just automatically supplies an image from a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. Like the 2 decks that I'm most familiar with, other than the Rider-Waite-Smith original, are right now the Morgan Greer Tarot and the Robin Wood Tarot. So if I see a non-illustrated pip, if I see a non-illustrated Minor Arcana card, my brain just drops in an image from one of the decks that I'm more familiar with. At that point, I feel like me reading a TDM style deck or non-illustrated pip style deck becomes moot, because if I'm just going to be envisioning those cards regardless, I might as well just read with one of those decks. But again, your mileage may vary. That is just one of my little funny, idiosyncrasies, one of my preferences. Overall, it is a cool deck. If you're a collector, if you're into any of those like niche interests, I dig the artwork. Way back in the day, there used to be a publication called New Witch Magazine, and they had reviews and ratings in the back. And people would write short reviews of books and tarot decks and other forms of like witchy media. And you could get, I believe it was, the rating scale was between 0 and 5 broomsticks. And 5, of course, was like, oh, excellent, a must read, top of its class. 4 was like, not perfect, but pretty damn good, And I think 3 was something like, get it if you're a collector. And that's kind of how I feel about this deck. It's cool, but it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I'm going to love it. I'm going to use it. Maybe I'll use it for like school and medical related things, not for like diagnosing anyone or like, there are limits to what divination can accomplish. Yes, I feel like sometimes we need to say that. But when it comes to like, maybe giving myself some insight on career path or, the best way to prepare myself for a semester, I don't know. I will find a way to use this deck and make it relevant because I dig it. So that is it. That's the, like I said, the highlights from my Yule, Winter Solstice, Christmas 2021. Again, most of my presents were nursing related, and that's badass. If so, I know some of you have found me here on the YouTube through my Twitter, which is at Artemis NYC. If you're at all interested in following my nursing school journey and some of my more mundane interests, mostly coffee and foodie type stuff, I have an alternate Twitter. I'm not on there as often, but it's at Eye of the Siren. And that's about it. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please hit subscribe. While school is in session, I'm only able to really eke out like one video a month. When school is not in session, I try to drop one video about a week. So that's all I have. I hope you all had a beautiful, blessed, magical, wonderful holiday season. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Strength, I really enjoy two of elixirs in this deck. Similarly,